What's going on, everybody? This is Gabriel, the ProActivator, and today I'm bringing you 3 more rules on how to win the day. We're gonna dive into rule number 4. The fourth rule to win every day is this: stop negotiating with your excuses. Every day, at some point, your mind will give you an out, a story, a reason, a backdoor to escape responsibility. And it will sound rational, it will sound convincing, it will feel like self care, like logic, but it's not. It's the old version of you trying to survive inside the new one. You have to understand this. Your excuses are not random. They are rehearsed, conditioned, well-practiced lines from a script your nervous system wrote years ago to protect you from discomfort. And now every time you try to raise your standard, that script shows up to keep you safe, to keep you small, to keep you from changing. But you're not here for safety. You're not here for comfort. You're here to build. And building requires sacrifice. Not just of time or energy, but of lies. You have to be willing to sacrifice the stories that used to work. You have to be willing to betray the part of you that still wants to stay average. That begins with this rule: no negotiations, no entertaining the excuse, no talking it out, no weighing the pros and cons of quitting, no giving it oxygen. The second you hear it, you shut it down. You don't argue with it. You don't indulge it. You replace it with action immediately. Because here's what most people don't realize. The more you entertain the excuse, the stronger it gets. Every time you pause to consider it, you are feeding it. You are telling your brain this might be valid. And if it thinks it's valid, it will build a case. And once that case is built, your discipline is already out the door. You can't let that happen. So you build a system. You create a language that interrupts the pattern. One phrase, one command. Not today. I don't negotiate with my feelings. That's not who I am anymore. You pick the words that fit your edge and you say them like you mean it. Because excuses only survive in ambiguity. They survive when your identity is soft, when your standards are loose. But when you decide, fully decide, what your rules are, your mind adapts. The excuses get quieter. The delay gets shorter. The gap between decision and action begins to collapse. This is where the real shift happens. Not when life gets easier, but when you stop entertaining the patterns that used to run you. When you stop feeding the loop. When you stop acting like your emotions get a vote in your execution. You will still feel the resistance. You will still hear the old lines. You're tired. You've done enough. Just do it later. You don't feel ready. But instead of debating, you act. You act like someone who does what needs to be done. Because that's who you are now. Not just in theory, in practice. And once that becomes your new default, everything changes. You become faster, clearer, harder to shake. People notice. They feel it. They watch you do the things they talk themselves out of. They watch you push when they would have paused. They watch you lead when they would have delayed. And they wonder how. And the answer is not talent. It's not personality. It's a simple rule. You stop negotiating. You drew the line. You wrote a new contract with yourself. One that doesn't leave room for soft decisions. One that doesn't allow you to rewrite the plan when the mood changes. You don't wait to feel like it. You don't need more time. You don't ask for permission. You follow through. Because discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being predictable. It's about being someone you can trust. And trust is built in those quiet moments when no one else is watching, but you choose strength anyway. That's what this rule is about, cutting off the escape route, refusing to entertain the narrative, showing up even when it will be easy not to, especially when it will be easy not to, because that's when it counts the most. That's when you're separating. So the next time your excuse show up, and it will, you don't pause. You don't think. You move immediately, decisively, like someone who has already decided what this day is going to be, like someone who is no longer interested in living at the level of compromise. That's rule 4. No negotiations. It's not up for debate. Not anymore. Because your future is not built in emotion. It's built in execution. The 5th rule to win every day is this: build completion momentum. Most people walk around with open loops, unfinished tasks, vague plans, halfway commitments, things they said they do but never started, or started but never finished. And every one of those open loops drains energy. Every one of those leaks power because your brain keeps track. Your nervous systems remember. And the more incomplete you are, the heavier you feel. You don't need more to do. You need more things finished, closed, executed, complete. Because completion creates clarity. Completion creates confidence. Completion is proof that you are who you say you are. Not someone who just starts, not someone who just talks, someone who follows through, someone who finishes. And every one of those open loops drains energy. Every one of those leaks power because your brain keeps track. Your nervous system remembers. And the more incomplete you are, the heavier you feel. You don't need more to do. You need more things finished, closed, executed, complete. Because completion creates clarity. Completion creates confidence. Completion is proof that you are who you say you are. Not someone who just starts, not someone who just talks, someone who follows through, someone who finishes. This is what separates the high performers from the ones who stay stuck in motion. The ability to decide, act, and finish. Not perfectly, not elegantly, but completely. Because unfinished is a weight, and you cannot run at full speed while dragging anchors behind you. You make this a daily priority. You scan your environment for open loops, the emails unsent, the decision you've been avoiding, the errand you keep moving to the next list, the task you delayed for no reason, and you attack them one by one, quickly, without emotion. You're not waiting for the perfect time. You're not waiting until it's urgent. You clear it. You close it. You move on. Not because the task is glamorous, but because clearing the clutter makes you sharper. Frees your mind. Rebuilds your power. This is the opposite of procrastination. Procrastination feels like relief, but it's not. It's debt, mental debt, emotional debt, execution debt. And the longer it sits there, the more it compounds, the more it drains you, the more it feeds the identity that says, I don't finish what I start. But when you start stacking completions, fast, focused, decisive, you change that story. You begin to see yourself as someone who closes the loop, who doesn't leave things undone, who doesn't leave decisions floating in the air. You make the call, you send the email, you write the draft, you hit publish. Because action beats anxiety, movement beats overthinking, completion beats chaos, always. And the more completions you stack, the more your confidence builds. Not because of how big the tasks are, but because of how consistent you are. It doesn't matter how long you carve the time. You go in with one goal, close loops, no distractions, no side projects, one by one. Done, done, done. That rhythm builds something deep inside you, something most people never feel. That click, that groove, that clarity. And once you feel it, you want more. Because it's clean, because it's powerful, because now your attention is no longer divided. You're not pulled in 10 directions. You're not avoiding anything. You are current. You are clear. You are available to go deep into what matters. This doesn't mean you never have long projects. It doesn't mean everything finishes in a day. But even big goals can be broken down into chunks, into wins, into pieces you can finish today. Because finishing is a muscle. And the more you train it, the more unstoppable you become. You don't want a wall of halfway progress. You want a You don't want a wall of half-built progress. You want a path of completed steps. You want to look behind you and see action, evidence, momentum, not ideas, not good intentions, not half-hearted attempts. Finished work, real progress, tangible movement. And the people around you, they noticed. Because most people are unreliable. They say yes and never show up. They talk big and deliver small. But you're different. You do what you say. You finish what you start. You follow through even when no one is watching. That kind of reputation, that kind of consistency, it compounds in your business, in your body, in your relationships, in your own self-trust. Because now you've removed the drag. Now you've eliminated the static. Now your energy is clean. So that's the rule. Build completion momentum every day. Identify the open loops. Close them. Small, fast, focused. Train yourself to finish. Not perfectly, not forever, but fully. Enough to move. Enough to lighten the load. Enough to reinforce the identity that says, I don't leave things undone. The sixth rule to win every day is train before you perform. Most people start their day in performance mode. They wake up and immediately step into the field of life, expecting to execute, to solve, to produce, to lead, without ever warming up. And then they wonder why their decisions are off, their focus is scattered, their emotions are fragile. They skip the most important part, preparation. You don't show up cold and expect to dominate. You train every day. Not just your body, your mind, your state, your nervous system. Because if you don't train it intentionally, it will be trained accidentally by stress, by urgency, by distraction, by noise. And those things do not build performance. They drain it. You need to carve out space every morning to train before you play. You don't roll into your tasks without getting centered, without clearing the static, without reminding your system who's in charge. This isn't about having more time. This is about taking control of your energy before anything external gets a vote. That training doesn't have to be complex. It has to be yours. It could be movement, breath work, reading, writing, visualization. Anything that signals to your brain, we are not reacting. We are building. That transition matters. That shift in state is what prepares you to go from emotional to intentional, from scattered to locked in. You don't wait for the day to warm you up. You warm yourself up. You get into position. You calibrate your thoughts. You remind yourself of your standards. You get your blood moving. You break the grip of sleep, of comfort, of mental noise. And you rise into the version of you that's here to execute. You build rituals around this, non-negotiables, anchors, and you don't skip them just because the day is busy, especially not then, because the busier the day, the more valuable the training. The more pressure you're under, the more important it becomes to begin from strength, not reaction. This is how professionals separate themselves. They don't just show up and hope. They prepare every day. The repetition, the alignment, the return to focus. It's not about motivation, it's about conditioning. And when it becomes automatic, you move into every task already in rhythm, already dialed in, already present. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 60. That's not the point. The point is that you never skip the inner work, the sharpening, the adjustment, the reset. You do it daily, relentlessly, quietly. And it makes you lethal. Because you're no longer showing up on accident. You're entering the day with fire, with clarity, with muscle memory. Training before performance is not a luxury. It's not a bonus. It's a requirement. The world is moving too fast. The noise is too loud. If you don't ground yourself before stepping in, you will get tossed. You'll forget who you are. You'll get pulled into problems that aren't yours to solve. So you build a habit, daily mental reps, daily physical movement, daily mindset installation. You write your principles. You repeat your rules. You reset your state. And the day starts when you say it does. From power, not pressure. From presence, not panic. And when you operate like this, you stop needing motivation. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop warming up during your first task because you're already there. You train for this. You prepare for this. And now you can perform at full capacity. This is the edge, the reps no one sees, the moments when others are snoozing and you are sharpening, not because you have to, but because you've chosen to lead, because you've chosen to win, not just at the big goals, at the daily game. My friends, this is all for today. Thank you for joining me at the ProActivators Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter, and I will see you next time.